Long shadows. The mine workings were impressive, even allowing for the fact that most of the actual work took place far beneath their feet. Wagons on rails, the creak of bellows and thick ropes raising and lowering the lifts, the chatter of those about to start their shift, and the exhausted shuffling of those who had just finished, the occasional lowing of one of the heavy oxen hitched to the transport wagons. Vanir was studying his dowsing pendulum, a disc of welt silver set with tempest jade and inscribed with the runes Sular and Office. It rotated lazily over his palm, and whatever information the runesmith derived from it was entirely opaque to Moen. The older man stole a glance at their other companion, at the orc travelling with them. Sunhammer Herc was gazing up towards the mountains, eyes shaded, peering at the late afternoon sky. He was clearly not happy with what he saw there. Moen could no more read anything in the alpine sky than he could in the revolutions of the spinning pendulum. He'd grown up in gentle grasslands, and it had been the novelty of visiting these great peaks that had drawn him northward when Vanir had casually suggested it shortly after the winter solstice. He'd been entirely unprepared for how cold it was, much to the amusement of his new order mates. Feeling a little left out, Moen watched the workers instead. After a few minutes he frowned. "Why are there no orcs?" he wondered aloud. Sunhammer Herc's eyes stayed focused on the sky, and he answered without looking at the older man. "You're not from around here, are you?" he asked mildly. Runesmith Vanir fumbled his pendulum away. "Maybe we should," he started, but Moen was already answering. I'm not, I'm sorry. I've only been in the Empire for a little while. There aren't really any orcs in the Confederacy. Have I said something wrong?" Moen felt his cheeks heating. He was constantly getting things wrong, and it always made him feel wretched. He looked over at Vanir. His fellow magician looked embarrassed. "Thought so," said Sunhammer Herc shortly. He didn't sound angry or anything, just tired. He stopped studying the sky and turned his attention on the former Sirani. "Sunstorm don't work mines. Too many bad memories, not for us. Not for those gone before." Moen started to apologise again, but the orc just shrugged. "Don't worry about it, it happens." They stood in awkward silence for a moment, but Moen had another question and couldn't hold it back. "If you don't like mines, why are we prospecting the mountains?" Sunhammer Herc snorted. "We don't like working mines," he said. "Don't mean we don't like owning them." Overview. The Imperial Senate has approved the plan to encourage miners, prospectors, and skilled labourers to travel to Skarsind and search the mountains for valuable deposits of metal that can feed the hungry forges of the Ethengraw. The full funding was provided by Irontide Flax, and the labourers aided in their quest by diviners, recruiters, investors, and entrepreneurs from the Golden Pyramid who have come at the request of the Grand Master to lend whatever support they can. Large parts of Skarsind are undeveloped, especially in the north. There are the old mine workings of the previous inhabitants, as well as wide areas that have never been settled. That is now changing rapidly as people prospect the wild regions. Care is taken to avoid Crow's Ridge, since the Thule will surely lay claim to any wealth that is found there, but Parkinen's Pass, Estermark, and Skogge Glens are soon bustling with prospectors looking for work. They are ably assisted by magicians from the Golden Pyramid. Diviners, prognosticators, investors, and entrepreneurs from the pyramid have all travelled to the Alpine territory to provide invaluable assistance to those searching for riches in the snow-capped mountains. The prospecting proves highly successful. Significant deposits of iron and some valuable seams of silver are quickly unearthed. One prospector claims to have found a deposit of rocks infused with energies from the Night Realm, but they refuse to reveal the location of their strike for fear that another might steal it. Several highly valuable deposits are discovered, and their locations confirmed. Each will need some investment to realise their potential. A prosperous endeavour. Each magician from the Golden Pyramid has received 2 crowns from their work in Skarsind. If your character would not have gone to help in Skarsind, just hand the coins back to God when you get your pack. The Golden Pyramid Order might offer similar assistance in another territory. Regardless of their individual role, the assistance of the Golden Pyramid proves invaluable. There are as many ways to make a difference in the mountain of Skarsind as there are magicians. While some practice ritual magic to help locate or exploit resources, others provide practical assistance with healing and bolstering magic for expeditions into the wild peaks during the harsh winter. Still others offer assistance in a more mundane fashion. There are plenty of magicians in the Order who have become wealthy thanks to their skills, and they're always looking for new opportunities to invest. In accordance with their manifesto, magicians of the Order have been paid well for their work. Each magician has received 2 additional crowns in their pack, representing the remaining profits from their endeavours. The money will be added to the pack of every member of the Golden Pyramid who was at the last event. Anyone who feels their character would not have taken part in the expedition in Skarsind can hand the coins back in at the desk in God when they get their pack. A number of the magicians who heed the call of the Grand Master find the adventure and excitement quite stimulating. The opportunity to go to new places, explore the wilder margins of the Empire, experience the joy of discovery, and get paid a fair wage for doing so is very appealing. As such, there is some interest in continuing this endeavour in a different territory. During the spring equinox, the Grand Master of the Golden Pyramid can guide their order to engage in a similar exploration in a different territory. They must name the territory, and if the Imperial Conclave agrees, members of the Order who visit that territory in the coming months and see what opportunities they can find for enriching themselves and those who live there. As with any effort to direct an order, this will take 20 crystal mana from the font at the end of the Conclave session in which it is passed. The Grand Master may include in their declaration to suggest for the main focus of the expedition exploring a certain terrain, for example, or prioritising a certain resource. There's no guarantee that the expedition will be as lucrative or rewarding as the exploration of Scarsind. The presence of large numbers of well-paid prospectors greatly enhance the ability to poke around forgotten corners of the wild mountains. Likewise, the more settled and explored the territory is, the less likely it is that the Order will find anything of great value. The presence of wild areas, marshes, forests and hills, greatly increases the likelihood that there is something hidden away in the corner of a territory that has been missed by earlier explorers. Sound business plan. Businesses in Scarsind can diversify for free. The prospectors find numerous deposits of magical metals like green iron and welt silver in the course of their surveys. The Sunstorm Sept have a long-standing antipathy for working in mines, which is already beginning to rub off on the other septs. Fortunately, the Senate motion encouraging miners and labourers to move in Scarsind means that there are more than enough people to work these new mines, provided there are orcs prepared to buy the metals they dig up. The rich supply of valuable metals available for purchase in Scarsind means it is much easier for businesses based there to arrange contracts to buy the metals at cheap prices. As a result, any business in Scarsind can diversify for free for as long as the current situation endures. The Cracking Void. Commissioning the Cracking Void would produce a source of Tempest Jade for the Empire and a small income of the metal for the Golden Pyramid. The mountains of Scarsind contain many old mine workings, some of which have long since been abandoned. The assumption is that whatever seams were originally being worked have long since been played out, but that is not always the case. Aloncios de Temeshwar takes it upon themselves to investigate several disused mines in Estermark, and their prosperity is rewarded when they discover valuable deposits in a mine that collapsed decades ago called the Cracking Void. The Void still contains rich seams of Tempest Jade, but it seems the entire working was abandoned due to the difficulties in excavating new galleries. The stone in this area is weak and cracked, which makes digging out new passages easy, but makes it much harder to shore up the workings safely. Mine props can only do so much to mitigate the risks if the stone is not strong enough to be buttressed. Once the problem is identified, Aloncius and his fellow Golden Pyramid magicians are quick to develop a proposal that would allow the mine workings to be reopened. Their proposal relies on magicians from the Order being permanently stationed here to help cast the relevant divinations and prognostications that would be needed to ensure working the mine remained safe. To be prosperous to all, Aloncius suggests splitting the profits between those who work there, the Imperial Orcs whose territory this is, and the members of the Order who work to keep the mine viable. It would require a suitable commission to be able to create a sinecure to reopen the mine. Doing so would require 7 wains of weirwood, 7 wains of mithril, and 42 crowns in labour. The work would be finished in 3 months, and once complete, would create a new imperial title of the Fugleman of the Cracking Void, who would receive an income of 15 ingots of Tempest Jade each season. In addition, the agreements with the Golden Pyramid magicians would mean that the Golden Pyramid would gain 8 Tempest Jade each season for their vault, as long as the mine remained open and the Order was prepared to offer magical assistance to keep the mine operational. The Lost Mines. There are 2 wealthy mines, Crimson Peak Mining and the Wells of Jannon, that were abandoned over half a decade ago. Crimson Peak Mining has been taken over by monsters. The Wells of Jannon have gone missing. Scouring the mountains of Scarsind also turns up 2 very valuable mines, both of which have been abandoned without good reason in the last decade. Crimson Peak Mining. Crimson Peak Mining has been overrun by Trigoni. Following the spring equinox, an adventure is available to Imperial Orcs and Golden Pyramid military units. Once sufficient force has been employed, the mines will provide additional options to the Steward of Gahuli and the Golden Pyramid. The first, Crimson Peak Mining, was the legal property of Wulfric Kelvinson, a citizen of Wintermark who has, by all accounts, been dead for many years. Without good management, the mines were overrun by Trigoni several years ago. The pack were in residence long before the Red Iron Door was put in place to seal off the lower levels of Lorenzo's deep pockets. It looks like the Trigoni have been there for years without causing a problem, but they would need to be cleared out before the mine could be reopened. Fortunately, there is a significant bounty of orichalcum available to pay for reavers or foreign mercenaries to clear the mine. During the coming season, any Imperial Orcs or Golden Pyramid military unit may take the action Clear Crimson Peak Mining to play a part in regaining the mine. If the combined military strength of the units assigned to clear the mines is at least 500, then they will be able to kill all the Dragoni, and the mines can be claimed by the prospectors. If that happens, then the steward of the mines of Gahuli will be able to buy orichalcum directly from the newly operational mines, giving them a new set of purchase options in addition to their regular choices. Furthermore, the grateful miners will arrange for 3 ingots of orichalcum to be sent to the Golden Pyramid Conclave Vault each season, as long as Crimson Peak mining remained operational. Wells of Jannon. Wells of Jannon have been reclaimed by their eternal patron and hidden in a powerful shroud of night magic. The Golden Pyramid suggests someone could talk to Jannon about them. The second of the lost mines is the Wells of Jannon, which were the property of Ashbourne Larch before they passed away. During the occupation of Skarsind by the Thule, miners took refuge in the galleries and passages there. The entire mine was concealed from the hungry jaws of the dragons with the aid of the Night Eternal Jannon, who had long served as a patron of the winterfolk who worked there. Precisely what Jannon's interest in the mine or the miners was remains a mystery, as does the exact location of the mines themselves. When the prospectors explored the area, they could not find the mines. It was not until a party of Golden Pyramid magicians versed in the laws of day and night made the trek to Gahul that an explanation was provided. In the absence of anyone working the mines, the firebrand has reclaimed them and erected a ward of shadows that conceals them from outsiders. After some discussion, it becomes apparent that some of the Imperial Orc settlements nearby have had some dealings with the people who still live in the air of the mine. While the wells might be hidden, they are not abandoned. Back when Skarsind was part of Wintermark, the folk who mined the green iron here were friends of Jannon. When not working the mine, they would commune with their inner flame and dance to the beat of their hearts, apparently. Shortly after the death of Ashbourne Larch, heralds of the shadowed flame apparently visited the human miners, convinced them to stop mining, and embraced the traditions of those who had gone before them, and helped raise the shroud that now hides the area. The former miners now apparently do a little mining, but mostly spend their time brewing and drinking moonshine, watching the stars, trading small amounts of metal ore with their orc neighbours, and occasionally hunting the nearby woods. They're apparently keen to be left alone to keep doing that. The Golden Pyramid magicians are at a loss on how to proceed. There are clearly some riches here, of the kind produced by any rich mine, but it is not clear how to access them. The best suggestion they can come up with is to ask Jannon and see what favour he might demand in return for access to the mine's wealth. The Sorrowful Tunnels. The prospectors have found what appear to be troll ruins in an old mithril mine in Gildermark. The tunnels can produce 18 wains of mithril each season, and more with additional investment. A historical research on the troll ruins could be commissioned if establishment of the seat is delayed for a year. One of the first finds in the mountains eventually proves to be far and away the most valuable. A group of prospectors guided by Golden Pyramid dowsers find a network of unusually large tunnels and caves in the mountains of Gildermark. The Sorrowful Tunnels have a poor reputation, for they're plagued by a dolorous aura, and a great feeling of melancholy and sadness descends on any who spend time in them that quickly becomes overpowering. They have long been ignored and overlooked for that reason, but the prospectors leave no stone unturned. A group of Varushkan miners from Volodmarts theorise that the aura might be an omen of something valuable hidden in the depths of the mountains, and given their being well paid, are prepared to take the risk of delving deep into the darkness under Gildermark. They make extensive preparations, including a small fortune in lightstone, before leading an expedition into the winding tunnels. Their tenacity is ultimately rewarded when they discover that the old passages contain not one, but 2 treasures. Far beneath the surface of Skarsind, there are deep runes carved into the walls of the tunnels, and signs that someone or something once dwelt here. There are signs of habitation that give all the impression of being centuries old, if not more. There are no old tales or legends of what being might have once lived here, but the evidence points to it being a troll. These lands were once part of a great troll kingdom, and it seems that the Sorrowful Tunnels may have been an outpost of some kind, perhaps even the eyrie of the creatures that oversaw the Gildenheim runeforge. Or perhaps not an outpost, perhaps a mine. The other treasure found deep, deep down in the darkness are rich seams of glistening mithril. More than enough to create a lucrative seat on the Imperial Bourse once the immiserating aura that suffuses the tunnels is dealt with. After careful inspection with the aid of magical protections provided by the Golden Pyramid, the Civil Service confirmed that the Sorrowful Tunnels could produce 18 wains of mithril each season, or more if the miners could be provided with a steady supply of lao used for anointing that would help them overcome the tunnel's dismal ambience. Such lao is available to purchase relatively easily, but the seat would be responsible for providing funds to secure it in sufficient quantities. The tunnels need comparatively little investment to make them operational. The main obstacle is the sheer depth that must be plumbed to reach the mithril face. A Senate commission, 20 wains of weirwood, and 60 crowns in labour would be sufficient to see the mine operational in a single season. The resulting bourse seat would be available for allocation by the Senate once work was completed, and would be appointed by auction of the seats if it were imperial, or by military unit commanders through tally of the votes, depending on whether it was an imperial or national position. Unfortunately, excavating the mines will inevitably destroy the delicate archaeological evidence that fills the area. Once that happens, it would be impossible to learn anything of historical value from the site. To avoid that fate, the Imperial Senate or the Minister could instruct the civil service to carry out historical research on the tunnels. It would require only a single historical research commission, but it would take a year to complete the work. Once complete, a full report of the Troll legacy in the tunnels would be presented to whoever commissioned the research, and the results would then be published as normal. Both Snowstorm Henk and Mark Swearspain are understandably excited by the opportunity to lead an academic examination of these deep, haunted tunnels. As painstaking care would be needed throughout, however, any production of mithril would have to wait until the research was completed. In the event the Senate commissions the mithril seat while the research is underway, the expedition would come to a grinding halt, with whatever had been uncovered up to that point representing only the most superficial information. Further reading: the pages on Scarsind and Standing in the Sun, a 385 YE Winter Wind of Fortune.